I spend a lot of time in my observatory astro imaging, and sometimes there's a temptation not to actually look at the night sky itself, and there's some lovely objects up there to see, particularly visually and particularly with binoculars. So this evening I've got my Celestron Skymaster 15 by 70 binoculars out with my Orion Parallelogram mount with its nice sturdy tripod, and as it gets a bit darker there'll be some lovely objects to see in the night sky. The great thing about the parallelogram mount is that it's very easy to swing around the sky, and if you change the height, so if you've got a child or someone a bit shorter, you can just pull them down and it retains the object in the eyepiece. So it's a really convenient way of looking at the night sky. I use a piece of software called Stellarium, which I've got on my laptop, and that enables me to simulate what I'm going to see in the night sky, so it enables me to plan my observing. So all the images that I'm showing you this evening, apart from a couple I've taken myself through the telescope, are from Stellarium, and you can see that it represents the view that you'd get with my 15 by 70 binoculars. I think actually it's a bit of a misrepresentation, because when you actually see them through the binoculars it's a much more subtle viewing experience, and it's not quite as clear as Stellarium would lead you to believe. You don't see all the colours. I just need to manage expectations of what you would see if you look through a binocular versus the images from Stellarium. It's quite nice and dark. We're meant to have Bortle Class 4 skies here just outside Guildford, which is a bit hard to believe sometimes, although with there being very little air traffic at the moment, normally there are planes going overhead from Gatwick and Heathrow, but tonight it's pretty good. Just a bit of smoke from chimneys in the distance, but quite nice. I've just been looking at Venus, and Venus I always find a little bit too bright to look at through binoculars. I find it's very difficult to see any sort of a shape, the crescent. When I was looking in my binocular guide earlier, it actually suggested that the binocular Galaxies M81 and M82 were good targets, but to be honest I think they're a bit small. I think yes, you can see them, but I don't stand much chance here because it's just too bright. I think on a dark sky site you'd probably be able to see them much clearer. Another nice thing to look at is the double cluster, but that's a bit low on the horizon, so I can show you what it would look like if it was a bit higher, but I can't actually see that through the binoculars this evening. I think my all-time favourite object through binoculars must be the Andromeda Galaxy M82. It really stretches out quite nicely across the sky. Not quite as much colour again as the Stellarium image would give you to believe, but it's a lovely thing to view, and I love viewing Andromeda both through the telescope and through the binoculars. It is actually quite good through these binoculars. We've got the Seven Sisters, or the Pleides, which is one of my favourite little constellations. I think it looks absolutely stunning through binoculars, probably better than through a telescope, and I have imaged that a few times. Another nice little thing to try and find is a beehive cluster. Maybe it's a little bit too small for looking at through these binoculars, but it's very nice through a telescope. At the moment it's just above the trees, just above Procyon in the constellation of Orion, so that's another nice thing to try and find. One of my other favourite objects is the Great Orion Nebula, which looks really nice. In the trapezium stars you can very clearly see the gas and dust, which is part of the star forming region. That is really nice. So I think that's my observing for this evening. It's getting a bit cold and chilly, and there's quite a bit of moisture in the air, so I think it's now time to pack down and go inside for a hot chocolate. If you've enjoyed this sky tour by binoculars, consider leaving a like and subscribing to my channel. Wishing you all clear skies. Out with my Orion Parallelogram mount